Hey guys, how you doing? Ryan Hamer here. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk to you guys about relationships, and specifically I want to talk to you men about some of the situations that you end up in. And I'm sure women are going to be listening to this wondering, well, what the hell? But I was talking with a friend the other day and we were discussing, relationships and how sometimes you can be with somebody for a very, very long time, and that relationship, the lines between love and hate become quite muddled. They become blurry. You can be with somebody for a long time and love that person and then learn and grow to hate them. And the reason you grow to hate them is because of the way they turn out. They end up changing, whether they fall out of love with you or whether the love changes. And inevitably that's what happens in a relationship. Sometimes love grows stronger, sometimes it grows thinner, and sometimes you used to be as thick as thieves, and now then there's no honor among thieves. You know what I mean? So you end up in that space, in that place in your relationship where you and that other person, you're just not where you once were, and you're not happy with yourself, you're not happy with that other person, and they start turning on you, they start mistreating you, they start treating you differently, and it's not a nice feeling. And then what happens is you guys get caught up with the bitterness and the resentment. That's what starts to manifest and fester within the relationship. You notice they're not doing the same things they used to do before. They're not making you breakfast. They don't bring you a cup of tea. They don't say hello to you anymore. And then you end up becoming strangers in your own house, or strangers in your own city, strangers in your own vibe, in your own bubble. You and that other person are just not agreeing. You're just not in that place that you were before. And you wonder, what the hell happened? Was it something that I did? Was it something that they did? And maybe it's both your faults. But if you didn't communicate when things were going down the wrong path, or things were starting to slip, or what have you, that's a big contributing factor as to why you are where you are right now. And some of you are in situations where it's irreconcilable, right? It's not something that you two can come together and fix, because neither of you are willing to talk about it. Neither of you are willing to sort of bend. And there's nothing wrong with being stubborn, but you got to know when to have your limit. You got to know when to bend the knee. Somebody's got to be willing to bend the knee. And if neither of you are willing to do that, then you're both just going to be continuously butting heads. The resentment will build and the hatred will fester, and you guys will split up eventually. And as a man, it's very hard for a man to express his emotions. And, some men don't like to talk about their feelings. It's like asking for directions. But the thing too is, some women like to put a man down and attack a man and dig at a man when he's already down. And sometimes you don't know that he's down. Like I have a friend and he lost his job, and he wouldn't tell his wife. He wouldn't tell his woman. He was afraid to tell her because of how she would react, as well as the fact that she would put him down. And fellas, I'm sorry, like I know it's not right, but women have a thing about money, and it's not even just about the money, it's a thing about stability. And when a man loses his job or a man is not working, it's like a black eye. It casts a negative shadow over you. And even if you lose your job through no fault of your own, like, look, heck, COVID killed a lot of us, right? COVID put a lot of us in situations that we didn't want to be in. But if you're with somebody who, under the best of circumstances, would put you down through a situation that occurs and it's no fault of your own, that's an issue, right? That's an issue when things happen and you're a hardworking individual and you're trying and you're doing your thing. Things happen. And sometimes women have a way of digging at you, piercing the bravado and piercing your veil. And it could be a situation in which, you're a strong person and stuff like that, but you care when she says it. As a man, you care. You got feelings. You're human, and men are human too. And women don't realize that when they say certain things to a man, it takes a piece of him. When you belittle a man, it breaks him a bit. When you tell a man that he ain't shit, it it does something to him, and he hears it enough, it it cracks. It cracks his armor, and he most likely will not cry in front of you, but he's crying inside, and he's feeling it inside. He's feeling that nothing is good enough for you. He's feeling that nothing can please you. You know, he's been working all this time, bringing in all the money, paying bills and helping you out, being a partner, being supportive and all that stuff. And something happens with his work and you can't step up and support him. And not even the financial aspect of it, but just like everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. There are some women that are going to come up in the comments, or some women that are going to message me and say, you know what? That's not true. I'm very supportive. I wouldn't put my man down if that happened. And, you know, that's great. Good for you. You're the rarity. You're the unicorn. A lot of women aren't going to be too happy with a man that's not working. And you fellas out there, I'm going to say it, like, some of you guys, you can't be lazy. I have a lot of hardworking friends. And there are some friends that I have that are lazy. You still have to do what you got to do to keep the momentum going. You know, because women don't like lazy men. Women don't like lazy men. If they feel like they got to cover all the bills, or if they feel like you've been on the bench for too long, then they're going to start looking at other teammates to pass the ball to. You know, and some women start doing things that are different, right? They start holding back on sex. Stop talking to you. It's like when you go on vacation. You know, my dad always used to say that when you go to people's house and you go to somebody else's house and you go on vacation, there's a certain shelf life of a guest. There's a certain time frame in which you want to stay at people's house before you become a burden and an inconvenience. And in a relationship, you got to start noticing the signs. You know, the food stops coming. They stop saying hello. They stop saying good morning, and they start treating you a different way. They stop asking, how are you? How was your day? The disinterest is obvious. And some people are clueless to the fact. Some people are clueless to what's going on. Both guys and women. But women are quick with it. And women do it easily. You know, they stop talking to you. And a guy's not going to argue. And when a woman's nagging, or a woman is or it's on the opposite end of the spectrum, when a woman is coming at you, she's coming at you, complaining about this, complaining about that, and there's always an issue. There's always something that she's dissatisfied with or not happy with. And you could clean the whole house. You could do the dishes. You could cook. You know, you could vacuum, clean those washrooms, or whatever it is that you do. Put gas in her car. You could clean her car, pay her car note, pay her car insurance and stuff like that. And she's still going to find fault with you. Pay half the rent or whatever, right? And she's still going to find fault with you. So sometimes when you have issues like that, you got to wonder, is the issue with me or is the issue with her? Is it nurture or is it nature? Did you nurture this type of attitude within her? Well, I think you were a contributing factor to the acceptance of it, because if that's somebody's nature, you help nurture it if you never check them on it. Because they continued to be who they were. You knew who they were. You saw who they were. You accepted who they were. You allowed them to be who they were during the course of your relationship from jump at the very beginning. Because sometimes we get blinded by that honeymoon haze. And the honeymoon haze is in the beginning of the relationship when everything is hunky-dory and everything's so sweet and tasty and great. And you love that person. You like that person. You're enjoying things. Sex is great. And you know, you two are connected and stuff, but then you're kind of blind to certain things that they do, certain proclivities and certain little attitudes and things. And you realize that the gratitude is lacking later on. And sometimes you men, when you do for a woman, you can overdo it. You can spoil a woman to the point where you spoil a woman. Now I'm going to repeat that. You can spoil a woman to the point where you spoil a woman. Spoil her for other people and spoil her for yourself. Because sometimes in your doing and in your giving nature causes a taker to get comfortable. And when they get comfortable or too comfortable, sometimes they become unappreciative of your efforts, and they become it becomes an expectation. You understand? So if they expect you to do certain things without asking, they no longer ask, they expect, and then they huff and they puff when they don't get their own way, or they get angry or start mistreating you when they don't get their own way, when you are unable to continue doing what you did, whether it be financially or whether you're just tired or spent. And I will flip the same thing over to men too, because some men, they get complacent. You got a woman that working hard, you got a woman that comes home, she got to take care of the kids, and she's got to do this and do that. If you're not helping to clean up around the house, if you're not helping to cook, if you're not saying, hey, you know what, I'll pay for this, or I'm going to send you to the spa or whatever, if you're not doing anything to alleviate her stress and to lighten the load on her, then that can be problematic too. So I don't want anybody here thinking that I'm sitting on my soapbox, I'm standing on my soapbox, and I am not at all looking at both sides of the situation. Of course, you've got women out there that take. And you got men out there that take. But particularly, you've got good men out there that are hardworking, entrepreneurial minded, and they have vision. But they lack the type of partner that would support that vision. I like to coin it, I call it, you got the 9-to-5 mentality. Absolutely nothing wrong with working a 9-to-5 job. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. We need people that work the 9-to-5 jobs. You know what I mean? We need people. And there's, the entrepreneurial lifestyle is not meant for everyone. Not everyone can see certain things. Because when you're an entrepreneur, it really is a mindset shift. You really have to think differently. And I've always thought differently. I've always wanted to work for myself and do my own thing. And it's definitely not easy. And it's certainly not easy when you have kids or when you have a partner, and in your life when you have other responsibilities outside of yourself, when you got to take care of other people. It compounds the issues or the opportunities, or your ability to be able to just be single-minded and focused on what you got to do with regards to building your wealth or becoming that person that you want to be. And you also got to forgive yourself for not being that person that you want to be in that moment, whether it was years before or whether it's right now. You're going to get there. It takes time. Sometimes you're not going to have that partner behind you or beside you. They're not always going to support your vision. And sometimes you have to make a tough decision as to whether this is the type of person that you need in your life, or this is the type of person that will finally come around. Because some women will come around once once they see the money coming, once they see you start being successful, then they'll come around. That can be a little frustrating because you're like, oh, now you're supporting me, and women, it's the same thing with men. Some men, they won't invest in your vision or support your vision. And it's not always about money. The moral support of a partner is priceless, right? Because you're going to have those days where you're eating sardines for dinner, and you're going to have those days where you got to graduate up to caviar. It takes time in life. And I know this video kind of seems like a free-for-all where I'm touching on so many different things, but I think as men and women, we need to hear certain things. We need to hear certain things. Like uh, I'm not about to tell somebody they ain't shit. I'm not going to do that. I'm not telling you men that you're not shit. I'm not telling you women that you're not shit, because you need to be aware of how you treat somebody, because you might treat somebody like they're a piece of shit and you might not even realize it. The value in your words and the value in your support and the esteem that you have in yourself is critical, right? You can't expect somebody to support you if you don't believe and value yourself. If you don't have the esteem in yourself and believe that you can achieve greatness, then don't expect it from your partner. I'm telling you that flat out. Because some of you out here are complaining about your partner is not supporting you, or you're with somebody and with the wrong person, and this person isn't, they're not trusting of you, and you're just not happy. But how happy are you with yourself? Are you working on yourself, and are you building? Right? If the answer is no, and you're not growing and you're not building and you don't believe in yourself, then you can't expect anyone else to see you any different. It's just not like that. The world is not like that, and your relationship is not going to flourish that way. So a lot of you guys, I talk about credit and I talk about relationships. And when you go and you apply for credit, you have to have a certain credit profile. A certain credit profile is what allows you to seem worthy, and allows you to seem worthy, right? Allows you to seem that you're able to receive, whatever credit card or whatever loan that you need or want. In a relationship, your profile, what you put out there, is what other people see. So if your self-esteem is low, if your attitude sucks, if you aren't taking care of yourself, you're not exercising, and you look sluggish, somebody's going to pick up on that. Somebody's going to feed off of that. That's what's going to happen. That's a person that nobody wants to be with somebody like that, right? Nobody's going to enjoy being with somebody like that. So you need to keep that in mind. How you present yourself and how you treat others is so important too. But if you don't treat yourself right, there's no way you can expect other people to treat you right. But even if you do treat yourself right and you're with somebody who's not treating you right, you got to call them on it. You got to acknowledge that. And you got to say, hey, you know what? I deserve better. Can't talk to me like that. You shouldn't put me down. Sometimes you need to have an emotional state of the union address with yourself. I encourage each and every one of you to start having positive affirmations. Write down what you want to feel. What you forgive yourself for. I forgive myself for not being the man that I used to be. I forgive myself for not being the woman that I used to be. Today will be a great day. I am happy and I am grateful that I am loved, loving, and lovable. You need to say these things to yourself. You need to believe these things in yourself. All right? If you don't, then that's a whole other issue. That's something you got to work on and you got to work with, right? But you got to start somewhere. I don't know who needs to hear this today, but I just wanted to do this to encourage you guys. I started off talking to you men, but I know there are going to be women listening to this. And if you've got a man at home that treats you right, that treats you well, if you're in a bad mood, don't take it out on him. If you had a bad day at work, don't come home and beat up on him. That's not right. It's not right at all. Men have a lot of pressure They got a lot of pressure on them in this world, none of which they share with you, really. None of which you'll completely understand. And then you men come home. You got to recognize the work that a woman puts into keeping that home, maintaining that home. And even if you don't live together, your connection with that other person has to be maintained on both sides. Right? So I don't want anybody thinking that I'm just siding with the men or I'm siding with the women, and men in relationships that are, rocky and stuff like that. I get it. It's not easy. It's rarely ever easy. It's rarely ever easy. No relationship is 100% perfect. No man is 100% perfect. And no woman is 100% perfect. Many years ago, I had a friend say to me that relationships are work. You got to do the work. You got to put in the time. But it's not a jail sentence. It doesn't have to be. And a lot of guys joke and say, oh, ball and chain and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that way. You two just have to work together. On your own and together. On each other and apart. But you have to think about what negative energy and what negative attributes you contribute to the relationship. And you women got to do that too. Because no one is faultless in situations in which there's a breakdown. Right? I mean, sometimes, you got a person I'm just talking about your regular vanilla relationship. I'm talking about your regular relationship. I'm not talking about situations where, a guy is just beating a woman or a woman is just berating a man and just mean things and stuff like that. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the general degradation of a relationship over time. There are instances in which both parties can do better. So my father always used to say, I quote my dad a lot. If I know better, I do better. So in your relationship, what do you know better that you could be doing better? In your relationship, how do you feel about putting your best foot forward? And how do you feel you are putting your best foot forward? So I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to think about it. Name 3 things that you're doing well or doing great. And name another 3 things, write down another 3 things that you're doing that you could improve. Have your partner do the same. And then you write it down on a piece of paper and they write it down on a piece of paper. Then you exchange papers. Then you guys talk about it. And that's how you get the ball rolling. Well, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you got some value out of it. Please feel free to like, share, and comment. Have a great day. My name is Ryan Hamer, and I want you to smile today.